Afternoon, Miss Evershot.
Good afternoon.
And this must be your little niece.
Indeed.
Then it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Bertram's Hotel, Mís Marpl.
There you go, miss. Enjoy your stay.
Straight off the press. Missing millionaire pronounced dead after 7 years. Who gets the Blake fortune? Follow the news, get the scoop.
Is this your first visit to Bertram's, ma'am?
Miss Marple, I used to stay here often, but a very long time ago.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you back to Bertram's Hotel, Miss Marple.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Has it changed that much?
Quite the opposite. It hasn't changed at all. How very peculiar.
Bertram's busier. The whole of society is descended. No, I'm afraid Miss Otis regrets she's unable to lunch today. Yes, I'm so sorry.
I know. Just wait until you see the rooms. No. Caraman bugs, thanks. Hello, Henry. I'm back. This is my dear friend, Bridget.
Otis. There's a band. Did anybody order a band? Whose is the band? Jane.
Yes, sir.
Those roses and a tiger skin rug to Mr. Weissmuller's room. Now, please.
Yes, sir.
Your Highness.
Dropped in the street. I believe the intended recipient is a guest here. Bess Sedgwick?
Lady Sedgwick does not have a reservation at Bertram's.
Ah, that is such a shame. I wonder if she could be using another name. Perhaps you could pass it on. Thank you so much.
Wednesday.
Sorry. Sorry. You're right.
I'm sure
You have a reservation for us, Jack Britton and Joel Britton. We have a twin room.
Miss Walker.
We have 2 keys. Yes, that would be super.
Welcome to Bertram's. May I say, what an honor. I hear the Albert Hall is completely sold out.
Oh, that's just too kind of you. Is this enough of a tip? I can never tell with your funny money.
This way, please.
Jane, is it you? Oh, Jane, how wonderful to see you.
Selina, how well you look.
As do you, and I simply adore your punctuality. I knew I could rely on you for moral support. There's nothing I hate more than a will reading. You remember Sir Richard Blake? Blake Eyre, the aviation tycoon, my third cousin once removed. We used to summer with him at Mayfield's house till Mummy got ill. Wonderful man. Of course he owned Bertram's. Not that it's what it once was. Of course, none of the London hotels are really safe nowadays. Have you heard how many robberies there have been recently?
Quite shocking. Now, didn't his plane go down over the Indian Ocean, Sir Richard's?
Missing, presumed dead. Of course, it's over 7 years now, so officially he is dead. That's the family solicitor down there. Look at him.
That's it.
Shifty as a jackdaw.
So, the
Blake family are gathering for the reading of the will?
Well, there's only really his daughter Elvira and her mother, of course, if she turns up. If she's not engaged in high-level discussions with NATO or beating a land speed record or wrestling with a grizzly bear.
Who wrestles grizzly bears?
Bess Sedgwick. The Bess Sedgwick. Oh, there's Elvira. All that money, look at these ghastly shoes. Keeps her brush under a rug at some finishing school, I believe. Still, the life Bess Sedgwick leads. Quite surprising.
Oh, no. Excuse me. Oh, Mr. Armstrong.
My room ain't big enough for the kind of rhythm we got going on. So I was getting to kind of wonder if we could practice in here.
Here, in here. But in this room here. Yes, of course, Mr. Armstrong. But for the sake of the Bertram's reputation, if I could ask you not to be too jazzy.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Louis, may I join you?
Amelia Walker, now the party started.
My goodness, isn't that Amelia Walker, the jazz singer?
A glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words. Right it grows.
What a guest.
The world has gone mad today, and good's bad today, and black's white today, and day's night today, and most guys today that women prize today are just silly gigolo. So
Oh, my goodness. That's Bess Sedgwick.
Hello, world.
come on, guys, pick it up.
Let's go.
Elvira? Mother. Oh, why, I hardly recognized you. My, how you've grown. How nice you look.
Excuse me?
Oh, they're just suggestions. The sort of thing that a mother might say to her daughter when she hasn't seen her for 6 years.
Yes, that's sweet.
Please, excuse me, Lady Sedgwick, is it? I'm Ladislaus Malinowski.
Got to meet you, Mr. Malinowski. Do you know a famous racing car driver?
Yes, I am.
Oh, gosh, how exciting. You must tell me all about it when we dance.
That's not a good idea, Elvira.
Oh, really? Why, I think it's a marvellous one.
The world has gone mad today, and good's bad today, and black's white today, and day's night today, when most guys today that women prize today are just silly gigolos. So no, I'm not.
Tilly? Tilly, you up here? Tilly? Oh, here you are. Mr. Humphries has been looking for you.
Mr. Humphries can drop dead.
No, I don't like the taste.
You never sound like Marlena Dietrich.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. Who got you that?
I got me that. My mum always said keep your savings in jewels.
Well, look at your savings like them.
Such a goody-goody, Jane Cooper. Pete, I ain't gonna be a maid for the rest of my life.
Louis cans?
The reproductions, all of them.
But how can you tell?
The difference between genuine Louis cans and reproduction Louis cans is that genuine Louis cans are not left lying around the dining rooms of London hotels.
1, 2, 3.
doing here?
Waiting for you.
You're married?
That I am. Married a lovely lass. Back in Ballygowlan.
So where's the will reading to be? In the hotel?
No, in Catton's office.
Oh, sorry. So sorry. Hats, you see, my hats.
You wear all these?
No. These hats, my hats.
Yes. Do you wear your hats?
Why I wear my hats. These ladies' hats, multi-gentlemen.
How charming. May I see?
No, secret hats. My designs. Client's eyes only. No hats. No hats for you.
What an extraordinary fellow.
He's quite famous, you know. Ladies of Hanover.
Oh, it'd be wonderful if we could wear hats like those.
Rather.
That's a terrible. Oh,
I have to. Glass of Fasa.
Give him some water. Quickly. Right, let's undo his collar. Don't panic.
Come in.
Evening, Mum.
Thank you. Now there's the smile of a girl with a night off.
Me, Mum? Oh, no, just had some good news is all, Mum. Good night.
thank you.
Jane, Mum. Jane Cooper.
Jane. Well, that's my name. Jane Marple.
Marple? Oh. Well, you'll be enjoying your eggs, won't you, Mum? Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Tilly? Tilly, you up here? Just asking for you, and I said that
Inspector Bird, Scotland Yard.
Yes, sir.
Canon Pennyfather. Your hat.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'd so hate to lose it.
Canon Pennyfather. Canon Roderick Pennyfather.
Oh, yes. You are...
Lady Selina Hazy. You were a magistrate with my husband, 20 years ago at least.
Lady Selina, my goodness. And how is your husband?
You're quite dead. But please do join us and let us hear all your news.
I'm afraid I have something of a headache, but as soon as I've recovered, my shield is God's most high.
Now, isn't that Psalm 1, 2, 3?
You're in for a treat, Inspector Bird. Golden, flowery, first flush, tippy, orange pekoe. This fine tea is worth considerably more than its weight in gold.
Lovely cuppa. So, who had contact with the deceased last night, sir?
Tilly did the evening orders, so any number of guests.
I'll need to speak with all of them.
Bertram's has a reputation.
A girl's been murdered, sir. Strangled.
Yes, of course.
And if I may say so, Inspector, I was expecting someone a little more mature from Scotland Yard.
I was 22 when I was made commander of my company at Normandy. I saw more there in a week than you'll learn in a lifetime. So, you keep running a nice little hotel and leave the grown-up police work to me. Where were you both last night between 1 and 3?
In my room, just talking.
You were absent from your posts for an hour last night.
I was out the back, on my break.
For an hour?
I was in my room. Humphreys can confirm that. I ordered room service, and he brought it up.
The manager of the hotel brought up your tray.
I was in my room with a headache.
I had a headache and retired.
How are you feeling now?
Much recovered, thank you.
Quite fine.
But I'm sorry to hear about Tilley Rais.
Rice? How do you know her surname, Mr. Malinowski?
I told nothing, Inspector. But then, whoever notices a maid in a hotel.
Tilly Rice was wearing a hat rather like Bess Sedgwick's. Didn't you design that for her?
I designed for Lady Bess, yes. But Muti's hats are not worn by maids.
Well, we were both in our room all night.
So you saw nothing?
No.
No, it's Miss Marple, is that correct?
Yes, Inspector. Quite correct.
You saw the deceased last night?
Yes. She said she'd had some good news. But I suppose whatever that news was, it didn't end up being very good at all, did it? Might I ask, how was she killed?
She was strangled.
Oh, poor creature. How was she dressed?
In a coat and hat, quite smart.
Really? How very odd. You see, a girl only dresses in a smart hat and coat if she intends to go out of an evening. And yet last night was not her night off. I wonder, would it be possible to see the body?
See the body? Madam, this is a police investigation. It's not an outing of the Derby and Joan.
if you were out of the picture? Yes, of course. As if I haven't got enough going on with this damned will reading.
3 Blake guests expected as it is, and I'm almost out of American rooms.
You must.
Balls.
I beg your pardon?
That's the problem with balls instead of skeins. They roll off into the trickiest places.
I should be getting back to my office, so...
Mr. Cadden, I have a question for you. It's about my death.
Hello. And I suppose these would be the stairs to the roof. Out of bounds, is it?
Too bold, Mark. There is another way onto the roof.
If I died, what would happen to my share of Richard's will?
Half would pass to your daughter, and half would go to the newly formed Blake Foundation for the Arts.
Of which you are chief executive.
It was your husband's, ex-husband's wish that I be responsible for his continued financial affairs.
Over the last 7 years, what has happened to Richard's estate?
It has been held in trust.
But you mortgaged the casino in Monte Carlo.
How did you know?
A friend on the board of the bank.
I had to raise capital to offset some poor investment on Sir Richard's part so that his loved ones would be provided for.
How philanthropic of you. So you won't mind my perusing your accounts?
Well, I don't have them here.
At the will reading, then. I'll just check through your books, make sure everything's in place. Just in case anything should happen to me.
Right, lads, let's get this stretcher up here quick as you can. Right, Richard? Come on, Constable.
Poor girl. The thing is, Mum, is that I'm certain that hat's not hers. I've never seen it before, and Tilly, well, she'd always be the first to show off new clothes.
Really? I don't suppose it will hurt just to have a little look. That's very interesting. Tell me, Jane, why did you show this to me?
Well,
Let's put this back, shall we? It only seems fair to give the police a chance.
My cousin Louise Stock was in service at the Bantries and she told me all about you. Not gossip, you understand, not be so bold, but just how you notice things and how you sold things. And Tilly being killed, well, nobody's interested in the maid being murdered, and I thought maybe you could help. If I'm not speaking out of turn.
Of course not.
Because Tilly had a lot more money than she should have done. She always kept this diary. Her last entry, the night she was killed, was this. 1, 2, 3.
Money received.
Yeah. I think 1, 2, 3 was someone she was meeting.
How very interesting. I'll help however I can.
Oh, thank you, miss. And if you don't mind, I'd like to help too. Because I notice things like what you do.
What have you noticed at Bertram's?
Oh, there's always things going on. Like how this place has never changed. That's not right.
Tell me, Jane, what is an American room?
Well, Bertram's makes most of its money from its American visitors. The Americans like a little bit of luxury as standard, so we give them extras, like a wireless and a bathroom in their room. England, as you see it here, hasn't existed for donkey's years, but it's what the Americans want, so we make it up for them.
I thought Bertram's was too good to be true.
You look disappointed, miss.
I am, but I'd always rather know the truth, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Speaking of which, I wonder if you could do a little questioning on my behalf.
You simply must join us for dinner tonight.
Oh, I'm afraid I can't. The orphans, you see, I write potential benefactors on their behalf.
Nonsense, I insist.
Well, I understand that Bertram's is busy, Humphreys.
Heaving, Miss Blake.
Well, Bridget Milford and I will be best friends. You know, and she relies on me. Well, what if I wasn't there and she needed help? You know, and with all this talk of robberies, if only you could move her nearer my suite. It's room 223, it's just down the hall.
Room 223 is an American room.
Well, if Daddy was still here.
Yes, of course. A special room for a special lady.
Really? Bridget, nothing's too good for you. I'll just be a minute. Oh, Miss Malowski. I just wanted to say thanks awfully for such a super ride. In your car, I mean.
My pleasure, Miss Blake. The first floor, isn't it?
Oh, please just call me Elvira or Elle. Everyone else does. Or at least Bridget does.
Bridget is your friend with
Polio, yes. So we were just 11, and one afternoon I insisted that we went swimming in the river, even though we weren't supposed to.
She contracted the disease.
Contaminated water, yes. Well, the joke of it is, I didn't even go swimming in the end. I just sat there and read. So, you see, it is my fault, really.
You care for her still?
That's what friends are for.
You're very sweet. This is your floor, Miss Marple.
I'm lucky to have a friend like Bridget. I mean, when your mother's Bess Sedgwick.
Your Bess's daughter?
Why does that matter?
Can I see?
Never a work in progress.
We didn't always see eye to eye, me and Tilly, but I do miss her, you know.
Well, she had spirit, that one. Fire.
You and Tilly, you were drinking partners, weren't you?
We had been known to share the occasional tipple.
Was there something she knew, Mickey? Some secret that could have got her killed?
No. What's all this about?
Maybe something you told her?
I said no.
Still got those talking pipes then, eh?
Aye. You can hear everything from here. German, that is.
Wie lang?
I still speak a bit from my service days.
What's he saying?
Something about waiting for my papers. South America. That's all I can make out.
I wish you just told me that you and Mr. Malinowski knew each other. He said he'd never date your daughter, out of respect for you, which is a shame, really, because I thought he was jolly nice.
Stanislaus and I were involved in some confidential work.
Why is it that you always get everything that I can't have? You get Mr. Malinowski, and you get excitement and adventure. And you even had Daddy for years longer than I did. All those stories of him you could have told me, but you kept them, all to yourself. What's that?
Nothing. It's business.
Is it true that you led a cell in the French Resistance?
I'm afraid I can't talk about that.
What more damn secrets? You know, whenever I've tried to talk to you, I tried.
Oh, Vera, wait.
afternoon, Elvira. Are you... Oh, Bess. Do you know, for a moment there, I really thought...
Selina.
That you were... Hello, my dear.
Cousin Selina, hello.
I, Sir Richard Oswald Blake, being of sound mind and body, do hereby leave my fortune and estates to be divided into 3 equal portions between my daughter from my previous marriage, Elvira Louise Blake, my ex-wife, Lady Elizabeth Mary Sedgwick, and to the newly formed Blake Charitable Foundation for the Arts. And that's pretty much it in the main. Very straightforward will.
Doesn't he mention anyone else?
Ah, of course. And to my third cousin, Lady Selina Hazy, who was always so happy at my Cornish estate, Mayfield House, I leave to you my lithograph print of it as a happy reminder of the place of which you were so fond.
How charming. I don't suppose... I mean... Is it valuable at all?
No.
Huh.
You want a break, Gorman?
No, Inspector. I was looking for you. I have some information. Something I overheard. One of the guests talking in German about wanting his papers and South America. And well, what if there's a Nazi at Bertram's?
Mr. Curtin, the paperwork?
I'm afraid it is going to take a little longer than...
Then I'll be round tomorrow at 3 o'clock sharp. Let's hope nothing happens to me between now and then.
I'm sure I've seen that before.
Yes. Like the one at Bertram's. Copied by the same artist, I expect.
I'm so glad that's over. Poor thing. Should we get a taxi? I don't feel like that. I think it's probably that.
I'm so sorry about Tilly, Mrs. Rice. I've packed up all her things for her. Nice as I could.
She always thought so highly of you. Jane's one of what she used to say.
Really? Mrs. Rice? Did she have more money than she ought?
Oh, yeah. She said it was him that gave it to her. That foreigner she was stepping out with.
Do you remember his name?
Lars Summit. Laos.
Not like his Laos Malinowski.
Filthy monkeys. Worse than Jews.
Mr. Mutti, Mr. Malinowski. I'm glad I caught you.
Caught us? An English expression for met with.
I was wondering if I could see your papers.
Our papers? Why should we show you our papers?
Well, I say wondering, I mean insisting. If you'd be so kind.
Now, what time is my car ordered?
You're a resident of Milan, Mr. Malinowski? 123 Via Celoria.
Celoria. It is very beautiful, Inspector, if you should ever wish.
Mr. Mutti? Well, this all seems to be in order. I'm sure you won't mind if I hang on to these to check them out.
Outside the back, because of the fans.
Thank you very
Good day, my dear.
Good day, Miss Walker. Why is it that you hate my mother so? The way that you looked at her yesterday. I'd have thought you'd have shot her if you could.
Some people deserve shooting. And I'm afraid, my dear, your mother is one of them.
What do you mean?
Bess Sedgwick took my husband, and she didn't give him back.
Good afternoon, madam. I'm an I'm getting the time. It's not the telephone.
Oh, good evening. Jack?
It is Miss Marpl, but however could you tell?
Well, I did happen to notice. Aren't you left-handed? Whereas your brother Joe...
He's right-handed, that's right. I see. So if I've been carrying my paper like so...
Well, then, that would have been very confusing. Oh, Selina, how was the will reading?
Fine, fine. Although... Oh, how odd. They've moved that painting, the Rembrandt copy. Mr. Curtin had the same one in his office. Looks like a Vermeer copy now.
Mr. Malinovsky?
Did Bess Sedgwick receive my letter?
I'm sure if she had, I wouldn't be able to comment.
Letters. Threats. 3 women. 3 black hats.
Can you have a look and see what you can find?
Inspector, I'm so glad to have caught you. It was the hat, you see. The hat was all wrong. Just like Mrs. Royston in the post office.
Mrs. Royston?
The black hat on poor Tilley Rice's head. Surely you noticed how similar the dead girl was to Elvira Blake.
Are you suggesting the killer mistook Tilley Rice the maid for Elvira Blake the heiress?
And have you noticed also how very alike mother and daughter are in those hats?
So now you're saying Tilley Rice was killed because someone thought she was Lady Sedgwick?
I'm saying there are 3 people who all looked very similar. One of them is dead, and another may be in great danger. Lady Sedgwick happened to drop this.
You said her hat was wrong.
I can't quite work it out, but it does remind me of Mrs. Royston in the post office back in St. Mary Mead. If Mrs. Royston saw another woman wearing a coat or a skirt that she liked, she'd always say, "I bought one like that just last week." Then she'd rush out to buy the coat or the skirt rather than let anyone know she was copying. She always wanted everyone to think she thought of it first.
Oh. I see.
You do? I'm so glad, because you see, that's what's wrong with the hat. Underneath, her hair was messy. Something's going to happen, and it's going to seem as if it came after poor Tilly's death, but really, it came first.
Someday you'll come along, the man I love, and he'll be big and strong, the man I love. And when he comes my way, I'll do my best to make him stay. He'll look at me and smile, I'll understand, and in a little while, he'll take my hand and don't seem
Do you know if the deceased was planning to meet anyone up here?
Tilly.
Sorry?
Her name was Tilly. And no, she didn't say she was expecting anyone.
Gentleman friend, maybe?
If Tilly was planning on stepping out, she'd have made sure she was wearing lipstick.
How'd you know that she wasn't? Here, have you been up here already?
Didn't need to. A cigarette, no lipstick marks.
It's clever of you to notice that.
Yeah, well, just because I wear a pinny don't mean I'm stupid.
No, well, that's me told.
You can see why she loved it up here. Look at that view. Well, aren't you going to look?
I've seen it already.
I don't understand you. You can't be that much older than me, and yet you act like you're an old man. It's been a difficult war. I've seen that look before.
Thought we were fighting for a better world. When we come back, nothing had changed.
My sister worked in munitions. This is it, she said. Equality for women. And then the war ends, and here I am in service. But even London looks beautiful from up here.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
He'll build a little home just meant for two, from which I'll never roam. Who would you? And so all else above, I'm waiting for the morning.
Good evening.
Good evening, dear.
You're not for the concert tonight at the Albert Hall?
Oh, no, dear. We're staying in tonight.
Jazz is such ungodly music, and the fool says in his heart there is no God. Psalms 14:1.
What is it that's wrong with the plain girl? Rickets?
Polio, I believe. You can see they're quite devoted to each other.
But the needy will not always be forgotten, nor the hopes of the afflicted ever perish. Psalms 9:18.
What very interesting quotations you employ, Canon Pennyfather.
Good evening, Miss Marple. Have you by any chance seen my brother?
I'm sorry. Jack.
That's right.
Maybe he's at the concert.
Oh, no. Neither Joel nor I are very fond of jazz. Well, enjoy your soup.
Where is it you're canon of?
Ely, Miss...
Really? Why, the Archbishop of York is an old friend of the family. He runs his province so well, don't you think?
Oh, magnificently, Miss... Ooh. Really?
Oh, my dear. Your brother was looking for you just a moment ago. He went that way.
Oh, thank you, Lady Hazy.
Well, let's hope that we don't have a repeat of last night's excitement.
Once again, so many apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for the loss of light. I'm sure with a little Dunkirk spirit...
I wonder what's with the dicky lights in the dining rooms. They're A-OK everywhere else.
Oh, dear. We seem to have lost Canon Penny, Father.
Look at that fog, Jane.
Glad I'm not outside on a night like this. Oh, look, even Bess Sedgwick has abandoned her car.
Yeah.
And she's beaten land speed records.
There's a sniper!
Watch out! Get out of the way! Be careful, man!
Somebody do something!
First floor!
This one!
Let's break it down. Where is he? Nothing here.
It was bolted from the inside.
May I suggest you put back?
Elvira. Mother!
I don't know what to
I just don't understand it.
Going to happen?
No, it's such a fervent sort of word, Inspector. I know no more than you, but one has to wonder who the real target of the shooting was. Those hats, you see, all so similar.
You mean, did the killer think he was firing at Lady Sedgwick, or did he actually know it was her daughter? But what about her death threat?
Certainly the note was not real.
No. No, of course not. Actually, you've lost me there.
Who sends a written death threat? Not someone who truly intends to kill the recipient. It's common sense not to warn them.
I wanted to clear my head, and so I went for a little walk. I couldn't afford the concert, and my allowance is terribly small until I get my inheritance.
Can't be cheap staying at Bertram.
Oh, I stay here for free. I've been running around Bertram since I was a little girl. Now it's all been made so horrible. I was just coming back from my walk, and I could just see the torches burning. Just like when I was little and Daddy took me for a stroll. He knew I loved London at night. And then he hit the ground right in front of me, and another one, and then that man he saved my life. And then I panicked.
Where'd you get the gun from?
It was Mother's. I was looking for her last night, but she wasn't in her room. So to annoy her, I stole it from her bag.
I'm sorry, I'm not feeling up to being questioned.
You told me you were in your room the night Tilley Rais was strangled. That isn't true, is it?
No comment.
Someone ran a bath in your room and let it flood the ceiling of the rooms below.
Well, someone must have come in when I wasn't there.
Who would want to do that?
Plasterers. Making work for themselves. There is a recession on, Inspector.
If you weren't in your room when the bath was run, were you anywhere near room 123?
Inspector, how many hands does it take to operate a rifle?
The type we found, 2. Yes, of course. I'm sorry to have taken your time, Miss Milford.
I was at the concert from start to finish, Inspector, as I have already said.
What brought you to Bertram's in the first place?
I have a flight from London Airport to Lucerne tomorrow morning. A flight which I will now miss.
But the real reason for your stay is to design hats?
Yeah, in Berlin now there is no hat industry. But then in Berlin now there is no hats. And no industry.
During the war, were you loyal to Germany?
My war record is classified.
This is a murder investigation.
I do not answer to police inspectors.
Maybe you're not used to it being that way, but you're in Britain now.
And don't I know it? Don't it ever stop raining here?
Why did you use the back stairs?
To avoid the fans. You know, they think they own you. Is there anything else?
One thing. What could you tell me about the shooting?
Well, the lights all fused before it started, just as I was looking for my brother.
Did you find him?
Oh, yes. Both of us were in the morning room when the shots were fired.
Thank you. Jack, isn't it?
Joe, Inspector. Don't worry. Happens all the time.
Watch where you're going, or do I have to have an heart attack every time I walk round a corner?
Bleeding hell?
Well, the situation asks for it. Well, it's not like I'm addicted to blue language, is it? Anyway, I was wondering, Bridget Milford, Mrs. Elvira's friend, do you think she
I
was
know
up
what
to...
you're thinking. Her hand. No, I've checked her medical records. There's no question of her faking it.
Oh. Well.
Well.
I best be going there.
Good night, miss.
Jane. It's Jane.
Oh, Jane, it's the queerest thing, but I just don't seem to have any money anymore. I can't even pay my bill here. I thought if Richard had left me just a little money. Well, now it's dreaded plan B. Sell Mummy's beautiful necklace.
Selina, I had no idea.
Well, it's only rocks and metal after all. I'm sure worse things happen at sea. Oh, no. They've been... But I put them in the safe. They should have been safe.
Quite expertly cracked.
Oh, Jane. What am I going to do?
Selina.
Blake guests were expected. 3. Yes, I had to put them all off. That's not to mention the merchant.
The buyer can view at my office. There's plenty of it there.
You're right. Not happy at all with this situation.
Do stop messaging.
What is a Blake guest?
Well, I'm not sure. Except that we get them every few weeks. They always arrive by Blake Care, and it's always at night. They never have to pay for their bills, and we're always told that they're not to be disturbed. They just stay in their rooms until one night they've gone again.
I wonder how many Blake guests are in the hotel at present?
Just one.
So, who occupies this room?
A Mr. Jackson. I've never actually seen him. He booked the room for 4 weeks in advance. I assumed he was an aficionado of the Oriental style.
So Mr. Jackson could be anyone?
Oh, I'm hardly qualified to comment on police work, Inspector. I just get on with running my nice little hotel.
Room 123. I wondered if it was significant.
This window gives the best shot at the street. That's why Mr. Jackson, our sniper, wanted it kept at his disposal. Not that I expect Mr. Jackson is his real name.
No. And I think Tilly knew exactly who Mr. Jackson was and maybe even what he was up to.
By chance, this diary fell into my possession. Tilley Rais, the murdered maid.
1, 2, 3. Next to it, money received.
I reckon Tilly was blackmailing Mr. Jackson. And that's what got her killed.
I wonder, Inspector, if we could go over events. The sniper fired from this window, and when you broke down the door...
Which was locked and bolted from the inside.
The sniper had vanished.
But Elvira Blake said she saw the sniper from the street.
She saw the rifle resting on the windowsill, but can we really be sure she saw any more than that?
But then where did he go? Not out the window. There were witnesses in the street, and Joel Britton and I were outside that door the whole time. And anyway, the door was bolted from the inside.
What if the sniper had already left before you got here? When you forced the door, this part of the bolt was ripped from the door frame, right?
Just like Mrs. Royston in the post office.
You mean something happened after it seemed to?
Well, almost. In this case, I think it happened before. Wouldn't you say, Jane?
Oh, yes. You see these holes? Notice anything odd about them, Inspector?
They've been unscrewed.
Not ripped out by force. The killer unscrewed this before the shooting, then drew the bolt into it. When he left, he shut the door behind him. You thought that you'd ripped it out of the frame, but it was never in the frame.
Right, so he locked the door from the outside. But then where did he go? I came this way, and no one passed Amelia Walker on the back stairs.
And yet the sniper cannot have simply vanished.
Look, it's highly improper of me to even ask this, but do you have any idea what happened?
No, Inspector, not yet. But it's very interesting, don't you think? That the killer needed us to be moved from the Victoria dining rooms and into the morning room before the shooting could take place. I believe everything we saw was designed as a spectacle. A show which required its audience. That's why the killer had us moved, so that we could see properly into the street, which does rather point us in a definite direction, don't you think?
Yes. Like what?
That Mickey Gorman was always the intended target.
Well, he kept his paintings down here. MG, Mickey Gorman. Look, it's the same woman. Same dress, same posture. He was sweet on her, whoever she was.
And she broke his heart. Look at where he placed her, always just out of reach. This is love, but from afar.
Lizzie. He had a wife called Lizzie back in Ballygowan. But you wouldn't recognise her, not from any of this.
Oh, no. Jane, look closely. Look at her necklace.
Miss Marple, I've got a bit of a theory coming on. Mickey Gorman was a very talented painter. What if he did these? Got himself mixed up in some sort of art fraud, because then he'd be worth shutting up.
Forgery? I wonder. Unless, of course, it's quite the opposite.
waiting.
What are you doing?
Oh, sir, you startled me.
I said, what are you doing?
Just turning down the bed, like I do every morning. Oh, Lord.
What?
A face at the window.
There's nothing here.
Oh, I must have been spooked. What with the shooting and that. I'm so sorry, sir. Do you want me to come back later?
Later?
To turn down your bed?
No. I'm not bothered by such things.
Sorry, sir. Very well, sir.
Wait. Your keys.
Oh, I forget my own head.
What were you doing in there, Miss Cooper?
Nothing, Inspector.
Miss Cooper, I know you've been talking with Miss Marple, who is, I have discovered, a very nosy lady. Please, stay safe.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm so close, Bess. I'm certain.
If the police don't...
Lady Sedgwick, your necklace is very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And I can't help but feel I've seen it before. In a painting by Mickey Gorman. Bess, Elizabeth, Lizzie.
Don't call me that.
It was his name for you, wasn't it? Mickey? Your husband?
Yes. We married in Ballygowan. He was a wonderful, bloody-minded man. You've never known the like. But it couldn't last. My family soon sorted that.
You never stopped loving him.
Was he my father?
No, Elvira. I was younger than you when I married Mickey. You came many years later.
Then why did he come here?
Because he was a gentleman. He would never approach me until Richard had legally been declared dead. That's the measure of the man Mickey Gorman was.
Elvira, you don't seem entirely surprised.
I'm not. Please don't think I was prying, but I found these letters after Daddy died, and, well, there was one from Grandmama where it all came out. I was so terribly rude to him. And Mickey, I thought that he'd come to cause trouble.
No. Mickey wouldn't do that. Now, I have a lawyer to intimidate.
Curtain. But you're not seeing him until 3.
That's what he thinks. The element of surprise, Elvira.
Perhaps the two of you could go together. I always find a journey is such an excellent opportunity to catch up. Don't you think?
I'm sorry. Do you have an appointment?
Now just get out of my way.
You can't just...
Mr. Curtin!
Oh, Lord.
Stop him!
Thank you, Miss Tibbs. That will be all.
Shall I call the police?
No. Certificates, receipts, and some very interesting sales records. You've been doing rather a lot of trading on the Blake estate behind all our backs.
For your own good. Sir Richard was not the financial genius you all seem to think.
You filthy liar. This paperwork proves it. The funds you raised were flowing into your pocket.
Those dockets prove nothing.
Oh, really? Then why were you trying to burn them?
Well, And what will you do now? Go to the police?
You think I'm afraid of scandal?
None of this will stand up in court.
Then I'll administer my own justice.
Put it down, Lady Sedgwick. Now.
I told you no police.
I didn't call them. I swear.
We had an anonymous tip-off, Mr. Curtin. Looks like I arrived just in time.
Yes. Yes. Arrest this mad woman.
No, Mr. Curtin. The anonymous tip-off was about you. Someone thinks you've been writing nasty letters.
Me? What? Never.
Well, in that case, you won't mind me having a little look.
But I've never seen that before.
Hubert Curtin, I'm arresting you for the attempted murder of Lady Bess Sedgwick and for the manslaughter of Mickey Gorman.
You weasel.
Better a weasel than an old witch.
Oh.
Come along.
Miss Marpl was right. It isn't a copy. It's the exact same one that was hanging at Bertram's.
Art expert, are you now, Jane?
It's the frame I recognise. The amount of times I've dusted it. You see this T scratched in there? But why is it here?
Madam.
Bertram's hotel, please.
Name?
Mother, I'm so sorry about Mickey Gorman. You must have loved him very much.
Yes, Mickey. He was so... I never meant to be a terrible mother.
Please, you don't.
No, it's the fear, you see. To love something so much and, well, for one's own life to be so terribly dangerous. I could face anything except the thought of something happening to you. So, I put up walls between us to keep you safe. I won't fail you again.
What the devil's going on, Inspector?
I've just been speaking to the Rembrandt expert from the National Gallery. Apparently our fake Rembrandt is the worst kind of copy.
What's wrong with it?
It's the original. Right, I want everything that looks remotely valuable catalogued before the experts get here. What happened to that painting? What? I want that Vermeer, Humphreys! And I want answers.
Humphreys and Curtin are refusing to say anything, but the Rembrandt is real. I expect you'd already guessed that.
I had my suspicions. You see, everyone assumes paintings on public display in a hotel are copies without actually checking. It's quite the best place to hide a genuine work of art, in plain sight.
But why move one to Curtin's office?
I would imagine he had a buyer lined up. With all the police at Bertram's following the murder, the buyer would have to view the goods at Curtin's office.
And the death threat that you found at Mr. Curtin's?
Same handwriting as the one you picked up in the reading room. Of course, he's claiming it was planted.
And do you think Mr. Curtin was the sniper in room 123, Inspector?
Well, if he was, I don't know how he did it. Vanished into thin air. I mean, he's not the invisible man.
All right, so, persons unknown flood a bath, fusing the lights, so the diners are relocated here to allow a proper view of the street. But why?
Because in some way what we thought we saw on the night of the shooting was not what actually took place. I keep seeing the events of the evening in my mind, and something is wrong. Some little detail. Through that lies the answer to everything. If she was there and the sniper was there, then surely Then it could only be possible if one person could be in two places at the same time. Of course, the hand. It was the wrong hand.
Give us! Give us! It was him!
Put the gun down and step away from Canon Pennyfather. Now!
Inspector, it's not what it seems.
Filth. Monster. Nazi. You'll pay for what you've done.
Oh, dear Lord, please. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, I think you do, Canon Pennyfather, or whatever your real name is.
Ladislas, put the gun down. There must be a trial for his kind. Or they win.
The bumbling, forgetful curate, like something from a play or a story, but who didn't know his Bible or his diocese. I noticed, Canon, how you only ever quoted from Psalms, and you thought your church in Ely fell under the province of my friend, the Archbishop of York.
But Ely is under the province of Canterbury, not York.
Du alter Hex, Rassenbeschmutzer, ihr brütigen Judenschwein. Außer ihr sei einer
Hermann Koch,
so der Schwein.
the butcher of Riga.
Scheiße, so der Schwein.
But aren't you a Nazi too?
A Nazi hunter, Inspector. Mr. Malinowski's cigarette case with the swastika design. No real Nazi would carry around clues like that. But someone trying to bring a Nazi out into the open.
This man murdered my family and stole the treasures from my home.
Of course, the Rembrandt. You came over all faint the day that you arrived here. I thought you were staring at Lady Sedgwick, but you weren't. You were staring at the painting behind her.
Yeah, when I saw it, I knew he must be here. This morning, I met an associate, and he confirmed from my photographic evidence that this man is the butcher of Riga.
It's true. I've been helping Ladislas since he arrived.
Look here. This has absolutely nothing to do with Bertram's hotel. Nazis, war criminals.
But that's what a Blake guest is, isn't it, Mr. Humphreys? A Nazi on the run, flown in on Blake Air, swapping their stolen treasures for a passage to a safe country.
How dare you? You maid.
Yeah. Well, you'll be doing your own cleaning where you're going.
So, Canon Pennyfather wasn't Canon Pennyfather?
I'm afraid not. You see, the real Canon Pennyfather is holidaying in Lucerne, and it was very easy to steal his identity.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning. Tilley Rais was strangled on the roof. But why?
It was her hat, you see. It was all wrong.
Tilly was strangled, but her hat was pinned down tight, so her hair underneath it should have been neat, but it wasn't. It was messy, which means the hat was pinned in place after she was murdered.
This is ridiculous. Who is this girl playing detective?
Yeah, yes.
Go on, Jane.
The hat created a false connection. If Tilly had been mistaken for Lady Sedgwick, then Lady Sedgwick would have been the killer's real target. The death threats were just a smokescreen. Mickey Gorman was always the sniper's intended victim.
You see, the killer wanted us to believe that the death of Mickey Gorman came after the death of Tilley Rais. And of course, in strict chronological sense it did. But the planning of it had always come long before.
Did the killer send the fake death threats to me?
Yes, Lady Sedgwick.
Then the killer was Mr. Curtin.
But I've never seen that.
No, it couldn't happen because... Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. You go on, please.
No, Mr. Curtin wasn't the murderer.
The letters were planted in his office by the real killer.
Mr. Malinowski? Why didn't you tell us you were courting Tilley Rais?
Courting? No. She was my informant in the hotel. My eyes and ears in the hunt for Hermann Koch. I went to see her the night she died, and she told me she had to meet someone afterwards.
1, 2, 3. That's what Tilly called the killer in her diary. Tilly was blackmailing 1, 2, 3 about something that Mickey Gorman had told her when he was drunk. Tilly thought that 1, 2, 3 would make her rich. But instead, 1, 2, 3 killed her.
Tilly codenamed the killer 1, 2, 3 because she saw them in room 1, 2, 3 when they never should have been there.
It never ceases to amaze me, no matter how complicated these affairs seem to be, they always boil down to one thing. Money.
Lady Sedgwick was about to inherit a vast fortune from her ex-husband, as was her daughter, Elvira. Mr. Curtin was about to take responsibility for a third of the entire Blake estate. Even you had a motive, Lady Selina.
Me?
If Bess and Elvira died, you would inherit Mayfield House.
But surely you don't suspect.
You have to be clear on where everyone was. Miss Marple and Lady Selina, they were in the morning room, and Mr. Humphreys was there too. Amelia Walker was coming up the back stairs, and Miss Blake was in the street.
Lady Sedgwick and Mr. Malinowski were caught in the fog, and Mr. Mutti and Mr. Curtin were to arrive later on foot.
Both Joel and I were in the morning room with you. Then I helped you break down the door to room 1, 2, 3.
Oh no. There was only one twin present that night.
But you saw both of us.
No. We saw 2 sets of clothes on one person.
Have you by any chance seen my brother?
My dear, your brother was...
All you did was change your clothes. I saw your clip-on tie. Perfect for a quick change act. Anyone would have thought they'd have seen both of you when in fact Jack was elsewhere in the hotel for the best part of about an hour.
This is ridiculous. You can't possibly know.
I can, my dear. You remember when we passed in the lobby?
It wasn't what hand you were holding your paper in that gave you away.
If I've been carrying my paper...
It was your watch.
Like so.
You wear your watches on different wrists.
It was the wrong hand.
But we didn't kill Mickey Gorman.
No, you were too busy stealing Lady Selina's jewels.
How can I ever...
Hands off me! Must you? I'd like to telephone my solicitor.
With Tilley Rice out the way, 1, 2, 3 put their master plan into action. The murder of Mickey Gorman.
But what was it that Mickey Gorman and Tilley Rais knew?
They knew about Ballygowlan, a small town in Ireland, where Mickey Gorman married a very young Bess Sedgwick.
What of it? I'm not ashamed.
We did a little investigation at the records office in Somerset House.
The secret of Ballygowlan wasn't that you were married to Mickey Gorman. It's that you were never divorced.
Damn you all to hell. Yes, I killed Mickey Gorman and Tilley Rais. I wasn't going to let them get between me and Richard's estate.
They knew the will was invalid. Sir Richard left the money to his ex-wife. But as a bigamist, you were never married to Sir Richard.
Aren't you the clever one, Inspector? I thought sending myself the notes was rather a cunning touch, and then putting one in Curtin's office.
It was you shot at Elvira and dressed Tilly in the hat.
Yes, and it was a damn good plan.
Mother!
I'm sorry, Elvira. I'm sorry for everything. But you're not going to get me alive.
I've always said, whatever else a woman may be, once she is a mother, her child comes first. But this isn't the way to help her. This is your mother's attempt to make amends, my dear. To give her freedom in exchange for yours. We both know Bess Sedgwick was not the killer in room 123, and she couldn't have strangled Tilley Rais. At the time Tilly died, you were with Mickey Gorman, weren't you, Lady Sedgwick?
But then Miss Blake.
Your devotion to Bridget, your driving need to help her in her illness, how far would that obsession take you? I think you wondered too, Lady Sedgwick.
Blow me down. You knew the notes were fake.
The note you put in Mr. Curtin's desk was one you had already received. You planted it Not to throw suspicion onto Mr. Curtin, but away from Elvira.
Because 1, 2, 3 was your own daughter.
If Bridget was to enjoy any quality of life, you'd need a great deal of money. The will stipulated that your inheritance was to be paid to my daughter by my first marriage. But as the marriage was never lawful, Mickey Gorman and Tilley Rice knew enough to cost you your entire fortune.
There you go, sir. 1, 2, 3.
Tilley Rice was blackmailing you.
So it was you she was planning on meeting up on the roof.
But it can't have been me that shot Mickey Gorman. I was in the street when the sniper fired.
Of course. Crime needed 2 people to work. Yourself and Bridget.
That's why you wanted an American room for Bridget. Because the American room's the only ones with an ensuite bath. Bridget left her bath to run over and fuse the electrics of the floor below.
Knowing the guests would be moved to the morning room to witness the shooting.
But I couldn't have fired a rifle.
Because the sniper was you, Elvira. Think, Jane. The hand was wrong.
Of course. So clever.
Miss Cooper, for those of us not so intellectually gifted.
Bridget must have left the hotel first, dressed as Elvira, then double backed on herself and put on a hat and a veil. Is that right?
Bridget then approached the hotel in full view of us all. Elvira fired at her feet. You're an excellent shot, like your mother. And when Gorman ran out, you killed him in cold blood. Then, knowing staff had never noticed, you slipped down the back stairs disguised as a maid. As you said, you spent your childhood at Bertram's. Who knows its hidden roots and corners better? Your knowledge of the hotel allowed you to creep up behind Bridget. Then you stepped forward, firing again at the non-existent sniper. Almost perfect. But you had given yourself away.
I see him.
You see, Bridget has no use of her right hand, and so she fired with her left. Once you took over, you used your right hand. As with the Britton twins, the hand was wrong.
Well, that's quite a theory.
Well, you're more than I deserve. But I can't live with this guilt. You're right. Elvira did it all. For me.
When I found out that Mickey Gorman had got a job here, I thought he'd come to blackmail me. I swear, Mother, I didn't know he'd only come for you.
Come with us, please.
No.
That's it. Come on.
No. Sorry, Mother. I'm so sorry. I forgive you. I forgive you.
What I did for good reasons.
You murdered 2 people in cold blood. No, young lady, there's nothing good about what you have done at Bertram's hotel.
What happened to the other painting, the Vermeer?
I think we're about to find out. Miss Walker. Mr. Curtin's secretary tells me you've been a regular visitor to his office over the last few days. You were the buyer Mr. Curtin had lined up for the paintings, weren't you?
If you believe I have the missing Vermeer, Inspector, please feel free to check my luggage.
You always travel with this, Miss Walker? I used to play a bit myself. A bit rusty now. Always hated the scales. Open her up, lads.
Well, I better get my money back.
Mr. Mutti.
It's home. Oh, my fathers, they are both home. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, sir. Help Jane, this princess.
What's the matter, Jane?
I was so stupid. Thinking it was Lady Sedgwick. How can I ever be as good as you?
Get older.
Miss Cooper, Jane. I wonder if I could, well, if you would be so good as to, if you'd maybe like to consider. You're the most wonderful, intelligent, beautiful woman I've ever met. When I first saw you, you took my breath away. And it hasn't come back yet.
Excuse me.
When I'm near you, I feel drunk. Or dizzy. Or drunk and dizzy, and like I'm walking on air.
Inspector Bird.
And whatever you may think of me, if there's a fraction of what I feel for you,
Bird.
if there's any hope you could in your heart.
Inspector Bird.
Yes?
What's your first name?
Excuse me.
Well, it's Larry. It's Larry Bird.
Well, Larry Bird, whatever it is you're trying to ask me, my answer is yes.
Oh, Jane, I don't know what to...
Afternoon, Miss Marple.
Oh, good afternoon. How nice to see a familiar face.
Enjoyed yourself, have you?
Well, it's certainly not the Bertrams I remember.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But then, neither should it be.
Miss Marple! I just had to tell you. Larry, Inspector Bird, he's asked you to go away with him.
Get married?
Oh, no, just live together and see how things work out. Well, he says after the war, that's the way things should happen. Well, actually, I said that and then he agreed with me.
And you leave Bertram's?
Well, Larry was saying that it's only a matter of time before women are allowed into the police force, and I thought, maybe I could. What do you think?
I think it sounds exactly like the sort of thing I would never have done at your age. But always wish I had. Things are changing, Jane, and I think for the better. Good luck, my dear.
Thank you, Miss Marple. You've changed my life.
Jane.
Well, at least that's real.